I am Rangarajan, the Associate Director of the Academy, and I am going to now teach on fundamental rights. Right? So, I do take classes on polity in our academy along with others, and this is one area which I thought we will discuss today in this close to 1 hour video of this online session. So, before we even start, we will discuss about what is fundamental rights, how is fundamental rights linked to the preamble, what are the various types of rights. Before even understanding about the fundamental rights, what are the various types of rights that are there, and finally, what do you mean by a state, and what are the provisions or restrictions on the state with respect to fundamental rights. So basically, what is going to be the agenda for this session? What is fundamental rights? Number one, basic introduction. We need to know what are the various types of rights, and how do you fit FR in it, FR meaning fundamental rights in it. Then how is fundamental right linked to preamble? What is state for the purposes of fundamental rights? What is the definition of state? And what are the restrictions on state? Right? So, we will get a basic understanding on fundamental rights, and of course, after that there will be sessions where we will be discussing each and every type of fundamental right. You have right to equality, you have right to freedom of religion. So, all that are the various different types of fundamental rights. But today is going to be a session on basic understanding of what fundamental rights is and the related underlying concepts related to fundamental rights. So before we even start, let's just to make the session interesting, right? Let's discuss a real life story. Of course, it is to bring you the interest, but it's a very sad story, and it is a true story. So what is the story? This story is what is famously known in Kerala as the Rajan's case. So who is this Rajan? The person whom we are seeing here, the young boy and the young man, he is Rajan. So who was he? He was a young boy who comes from a middle class family. The person whom you see on the left, the old man, was his father, of course, when he became very old and then eventually died. Mr. Warrior, Professor Warrior, he was a lecturer. His mother, they were a close-knit family, they were very fond of each other. And Mr. Rajan wanted to really do well in his life, so he struggled hard. He got into what is called as Regional Engineering College, what is called today the National Institute of Technology. All of you are aware of NITs, just like IITs, there are NITs. These NITs were earlier, till about a decade back, they were called as Regional Engineering Colleges. And REC was, the next best, so to speak, after IIT across the country. They were established across the country as a parallel to the IITs across the country, and they were more in number. And REC Calicut, he got in by merit, and he struggled hard, he worked really hard, but in 1976 was supposed to pass out. In April 1976 he was supposed to pass out, and on March 1st 1976, and that was the time, what was there? That was the time emergency was imposed. Emergency was imposed in June 1975. And it went all till March 1977. So in March 1976, exactly March 1st, 1976, they in REC Calcutta had put a skit. Skit means what? A stage play. And in that they had criticized the present government, the central government and its emergency and all those stuff. Right? When you guys go to Labasna, Mussoorie, the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy of Administration in Mussoorie, right, where I had been, the director Israel sir and all has been. We also used to do some skit where we make fun of the academy, faculty and all, in a very cordial and amicable way towards the, when we are passing out. So I'm sure you will be eagerly looking forward to experience all that, but first let's clear the exam and definitely you will get there and do well. So like that they had put a skit criticizing in a satirical manner, in a humor cum satirical manner about the central government and all that. And on that same day evening, the police picked up Mr. Rajan and some of his friends. Some of his friends were let out and some of them were detained. But Rajan, no news of Rajan. So Rajan's father really got worried. But what was there at that point of time? As I told you, emergency was there. And after the emergency was lifted and the new government came to power, the constitution was amended to say that habeas corpus for life, right to life under Article 21, you can still move when there is an emergency. But at the time when the emergency was imposed, your fundamental right to move the Supreme Court or the High Court for enforcement of your rights was, suspended. And so Mr. Rajan's father could not go to the court, because otherwise you will come across this term called habeas corpus, where you can go and file a writ petition in the court, and the High Court or the Supreme Court will ask the police to bring the person in front of the court to see whether their fundamental rights was violated or not. But because emergency was in place, Rajan's father could not move the courts. So he went from pillar to post. In fact, there is a very popular Malayalam movie on this. For 1 full year, he went to the Home Minister of Kerala, he wrote a letter to the Home Secretary of Kerala, he wrote a letter to the President, he wrote a letter to the Vice President, he distributed pamphlets on the streets. Rajan's mother was becoming mad because Rajan's father did not tell all these details that, their son was missing and they are not able to trace him. All that he did not share with his wife. And his mother was very fond of her son. So she started going insane, going mad. But nothing could be done, right? And 1977, when the emergency was lifted, Rajan's father then moved a habeas corpus petition in the Kerala High Court. And the Kerala High Court gave a summon, or it asked the police to produce Rajan before the court. The police tried to give some story and all that he escaped from custody immediately after arrest, but the court asked them to show the records of the jail or the lockup from which he escaped and all that. And finally, after 1 week, in March 1977, the Kerala police confessed that Rajan died in custody because of torture within 3 days of his arrest. And his body is still not recovered. It was never recovered. It was disposed of after the death of Rajan. Nobody got punished. Some DIG level officer got convicted at lower court and he got acquitted by the Kerala High Court. But who suffered? It was Rajan, who paid his ultimate price. He was killed, literally. He died in police custody. His father lost his son. His mother was not even aware that she has lost her son. She went mad. In fact, she had collected 1 rupee, 2 rupee coins to be given to Rajan when he comes back. And she hands over that bunch of coins to her husband and says that, you have cheated me, you have not told me where Rajan is, but when he comes back, you please give him this money. And she died off in some 1999 or something. And in 2003, Professor Warrior also passed away. But why this story in this class? It's not to entertain you guys, right? This is serious civil service examination business. Why this story? And it's a very sad story. It's a true story. This shows the importance of fundamental rights. Fundamental rights is like oxygen. You have all got up in the morning with so many worries, isn't it? Every day we get up in the morning, we worry about so many things. Will I get my bus on time today? Will I get my train on time today? Will it rain? Will I be able to reach my class on time today? How will my college exams go? We worry about so many things. Have you ever worried getting up in the morning, will I get sufficient oxygen today? Nobody, right? Of course, if you're from Delhi, the situation is becoming very bad these days that, the day is not far off. Hopefully, we take corrective measures before that. But the pollution is so bad that, the day is not far off when we'll get up and worry whether we'll get sufficient oxygen or not. But we don't worry, isn't it, in the morning? We take oxygen for granted. But imagine the rest of all your worries, even if they are against you, even if they don't go as per your wish, nothing will happen to you. But if oxygen is cut off from you for 3 or 4 minutes, we all know what is going to be our state, right? So that is the nature of fundamental rights in a democratic republic, in a democratic country, in a free country like India. Fundamental rights are like oxygen. We have to live with them, and they should be granted by the state, and it should not be taken away at all unless there are very, very compelling reasons. But the moment they are taken away from you, then you choke. And that is the reason why fundamental rights form the cornerstone of our constitution. In fact, the constitution makers, when they started making the constitution, guys, I'm giving you the basic philosophy behind fundamental rights here. Of course, when the sessions on each and every fundamental right starts, we'll be going article by article. What does Article 14 say? What does Article 15 say? 16, 17. What are the recent Supreme Court decisions with respect to those articles? What are the important case laws with respect to those articles? What are the exceptions to those articles? So, hardcore prelims, mains, examination point of view, you will be completely understanding everything in detail. But before that, it is very important that you understand the philosophy behind fundamental rights. So that is why I am taking that much more time to explain the philosophy behind the fundamental rights. So the constitution makers, when they were framing the constitution, they first defined India and its union and its states in part 1. They said who can be a citizen and what are the parliament can govern citizenship related laws in part 2. But immediately after that, why did they bring fundamental rights as part 3? It is an indirect way of showing that this is very, very important. They did not add fundamental rights as part 25 of the constitution or part 18 of the constitution, right? They made it the next most important thing after the basic definition of India and the citizenship of India, right? So that is the importance of fundamental rights.